Hi, I'm Lori, and I'm a community educator for the University of Wyoming Extension Office in Sheridan. Today we're going to give you some ideas on how you can start a garden at home with very limited resources. When you're starting plants from seed, there are only a couple things that you really have to keep in mind. They do need to have oxygen, water, light, and warmth in order to wake the seeds up and get them to start sprouting. Okay? And there's a number of ways you can do that. You can purchase kits like this that have all the components for you, and these are great, but right now they can be kind of hard to come by. There's not a lot available in the stores, and also that's more money that maybe you don't have or that you just don't feel like spending at this time. So the components that you need to keep in mind, this holds the dirt, but it has proper drainage on the bottom, so there's little holes. This holds the whole top and the water so that you don't have to worry about it leaking out onto anything. And then the top helps keep the seedlings warm while they're germinating, and it's going to help with keep them from the water from evaporating, and it's going to help the sun will help keep them a little bit warmer until they can sprout. Okay? But if you don't have one of these, there's a number of different things that you can do with things that you already have around the house. A great place to find resources to start your seeds is in your recycle bin. Okay, it's Girl Scout cookie season, so a lot of us will have boxes like this around the house. If you don't have a box, Girl Scout cookie boxes, you can use all kinds of, you can use a butter box or a cereal box or any kind of lightweight cardboard box that you have in your recycling bin. And all we're trying to do is we're trying to make the little containers, the individual containers to put the plants in. So if I took my Girl Scout cookie box, I can cut both ends of it off, and then I have two little containers. Okay. Now you want drainage. Since these are cardboard, there's already some little holes in it, and the water's going to go through over time, so it's not that big of a deal to worry about poking holes in it. But what you do want to make sure is that you have a container or something on the bottom so it'll protect your table and that the water will stay put. All right, so not only can you use the outside of the cookie box, a lot of containers will have little plastic containers inside. So these are the insides of a Girl Scout cookie container, and there's no drainage holes, so you're going to want to poke little drainage holes in there, because if you put dirt in there and you water it, it's not going to have anywhere to go. So, and then your plants are going to get a little too wet. Okay, so you can go ahead and use these containers and fill it up with dirt. I'd probably put a little bit more than that in there. And then you can use this as a takeout container that doesn't have holes in the bottom. I could do that and probably put another little row in there, and that would make a great little greenhouse. So again, I have something to collect the water on the bottom, and I have drainage and somewhere to put the seeds in the dirt, and then I have this nice little container that's going to help keep the temperature up and help keep it nice and warm for our plants to continue growing. Okay, another idea is these are just toilet paper rolls cut in half, or paper towel rolls. You can cut those probably in about 4 or 5. You're going to just place them, make sure you have a container, so they're obviously not going to have a bottom. So you want to make sure that you have it in a container that once you put water in, it's not going to wash the dirt onto your table. Okay, but again, that's going to give each of your little plants a little area for its roots to develop. And then you're going to want to, you could just put a plastic bag on top of this, and that would be enough to kind of hold it in, the heat in. Another idea is a milk carton. Again, because there's no holes in the bottom of this, if we cut it open and place this inside, that's going to be enough to, when the sun hits it, it's going to warm that air inside, so it's going to be a little bit warmer than the air around it, and that's going to encourage those plants to grow. So it's kind of like making your own little greenhouse. Okay. These containers that spinach comes in, and other salads and stuff, these are wonderful. You can reuse them. Actually, I have some that I've reused for a number of years, because until they crack, they're really going to, and then you can recycle them. Okay. Containers of strawberries come in, are also wonderful, but keep in mind that these actually do have some holes in the bottom of them. So what I could do if I wanted to plant in here and I didn't have anything else to put underneath it, I could go ahead and just put a paper towel and then put my dirt in. I would still want to have something to go underneath it, maybe even like a plastic lid, and I could, from a Rubbermaid container, and then I could line up a number of these, and I could very easily fit that on a windowsill or on top of a dresser or something to get some sunshine. Okay, what I've been showing you so far is our smaller containers to start your plants in. Once your plants start getting the roots developed and they get to be about maybe 3 or 4 inches tall, you're going to want to transplant them. And containers like this, or you could start your plants in them, or you could use it as a transplant container as well. So this is a little container. It's a cardboard container, and I had ice cream. It came from the custard stand, and it won't last forever, but it'll definitely last for a season. So, and if you can kind of see, I poked some holes in the bottom so I have some drainage, and then I'm just going to use the lid that came with it, and this would actually be large enough that I could start my plants in it and probably let them grow for 5 or 6 weeks even, until it's time to plant them outside, because I have plenty of space in there and the roots are not going to get bound together. Okay. Other items that are a little bit larger that might maybe be able to grow for a little bit longer without transplanting. Milk containers, all the containers that little treats come in as well. I think these are some type of applesauce or something. But you're just going to want to make sure that if you're using this, something like this, just to take a little screw or a pin, and you're going to just want to poke some holes in the bottom, just to make sure that you have proper drainage so that you don't have too much moisture for your roots. And then you're going to want to put that in, again, you can put it in a container like this, you can put it in the milk jug again, you can put it in your spinach container. You can also put it on a plastic lid, and you can put it in a bag and just hold it tight. And this again is going to act like a greenhouse. Even though we can't see it, the sun can still get in there and kind of warm that air up in there, and it's going to be just fine. Okay, now that you have gone around your house and gathered different items that you can repurpose for your garden, you can go ahead, and so we're going to talk about planting. You're going to want to have some potting soil to get started. You can tell here that I went ahead and I have my cookie box and the inside of it and a little newspaper roll, and I filled them all with dirt. You want to make sure that you don't pack it down. We have a tendency to want to kind of pack things down when we're planting, and you don't want to do that, because remember, oxygen is one of the things that our plants really need, okay? They need to have a light, water, oxygen, and heat, and if we pack it down, it's going to have a harder time getting oxygen, okay? Then you're going to want to you can contact your local extension office. You can go online. University of Wyoming has some wonderful extension agents, and there's other videos and all kinds of great information available. You want to make sure that you're getting plants that are happy in your area. Oftentimes you'll see get our catalogs in the mail, and you can see all these different seeds that are exotic and exciting. Wyoming is a wonderful place, but it can be difficult for a lot of things to grow here. So you want to make sure that you're getting things that are happy and grow well in Wyoming. Okay, I have some spaghetti squash here, so I'm going to go ahead and take these, and I'm just going to put them down in here, make a little bit of hole, and kind of put them in there. And I can put in this container, I would probably put one here, 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 and here. So I'd probably put at least 6 in here. Okay, maybe 3 in here, or 2 in here, and probably 2 in here. Remember, not all of your seeds are going to grow. Some of them are going to do fine, and other ones are not going to. So you're going to want to plant more seeds than maybe you think. You think maybe I only want 1 or 2 zucchini plants. Still plant more, and if they all grow, then you can give them to your neighbors, or you can maybe donate it to a community garden. Okay. And then you're going to want to go ahead and water them. And you want to make sure that you don't get them super, super wet. And that's why it's important. We talked about drainage before. So all of these have little drainage areas on the bottom. The paper obviously just kind of drains through a little bit. It's the cardboard. Then we poked holes in the little plastic tray. So we're going to want to make sure that the first time they get nice and wet. And then you check it every day. You probably won't need to water it every day, but if it's in a really dry area, you may need to. Now once I have this closed, it's going to have its own little kind of microclimate in here. So that water is going to evaporate a little bit, and the condensation will kind of go back down in there. And it should stay nice and warm. And after, depending on what plant what seeds you're planting, it might take 3 to 7 days to see a little sprout coming up. Okay. Again, you're going to want to check to make sure it's not too wet, because otherwise it could get a little bit of moldiness like on the bottoms, and you also don't want it to dry out completely. And once they start growing and they get to be a little too big for this container, or they start pressing against the top, they're probably going to be doing all right where you can just set them out on your windowsill, but still keep them inside the house. And you're going to, once they start looking like maybe they're getting a little too root bound, you might want to at that time transplant them, and then like we talked about, maybe into a bigger container like this, or you can do bigger containers and then put the milk jug on top so that you have lots of room for it to grow. And then wait, and every area is a little bit different. Most of Wyoming you're looking at towards the end of May, the very end of May, where you can plant them outside. And at that time you're going to want to harden them off, so meaning you're going to take them outside for a little bit during the day and bring them back in at night so they kind of get used to the temperature in your area. But again, go to your extension office website, and we have all kinds of information for you on that. And by that time you should have some nice healthy plants that are ready to plant outside. You can do it in a container or in your garden. Thank you so much.